Battle Through the Heavens God, the Flame Emperor Chapter 321, Weird Figure. After Xiaoyan, Mu Yingying, and Xiaoyi came out of the Dode River Hall, Xiaoyi and Mu Yingying went back to Bamboo House, where they lived. After Xiaoyan came back, they could also set off towards the Xuanling Emperor Pond. As for Xiaoyan, he went non-stop towards the place named Zulao. When Xiaoyan and Mu Yingying and Xiaoyi were saying goodbye, Mu Yingying also whispered to herself, "Xiaoyan, be careful, I heard that the old man called Zulao is very eccentric." The moment Mu Yingying spoke, her eyes were also uncertain. Xiaoyan was walking on the road alone and couldn't figure it out. When did Mu Yingying become so good? 5 Bamboo Residence is Mu Yingying's residence. Do not know why. Every time I approach Xiaoyan, there is always a feeling of peace of mind in my heart. Brother, what did you say this is? It's been so many years, why haven't you gone back? Mu Yingying also stared blankly into the distance, and then murmured. But what no one noticed was that when Mu Yingying stared into the distance, her entire pupil became extremely transparent, and an azure flame also appeared in her pupil. The azure flame seemed to burn everything. Xiaoyan also walked towards the place where Elder Zuo was, and then he didn't care about this strange change in Mu Yingying, but he was thinking in his heart. Since this Zulao can become the elder in their human palace, his strength is also extremely terrifying. From Mu Suze and Mu Yingying they are respectful to him. It can be seen that this called Zulao, his status of elderly is definitely not low. This old Zuo is really strange. He is obviously the elder of our human palace, but he lives in the heavenly palace. Xiaoyan remembered the route that Mu Yingying told him. Along the way, he also encountered many heavenly palaces. The strength of these disciples is also quite good, but this is not what Xiaoyan cares about, and immediately goes to the place Mu Yingying said. Since this old Zuo is the leader of the team to go to the Xuanling Emperor Pond this time, he must have something to do with himself, so he is on his way non-stop. However, Xiaoyan came to the boundary of the heavenly palace. After walking around, he was quite helpless. After all, it was the first time that he had come to the Incense Pavilion Heavenly Palace. Even if Mu Yingying explained her route again and again, she was quite concerned about the route. It's unclear, after all, the complexity of this heavenly palace is far beyond Xiaoyan's imagination. There are many streets and alleys. Fortunately, Xiaoyan asked many people along the way, so he didn't get lost. However, Xiaoyan also found that when he said the word Zulao, the eyes of the disciples in this heavenly temple instantly became extremely embarrassed, as if the word Zulao had some kind of magic power. Senior brother, how do you get to the place where Zulao lives? Xiaoyan also came to a crossroad, and then hesitated where to go. At this time, a figure also appeared in Xiaoyan's line of sight, so Xiaoyan also asked forward. The person Xiaoyan asked was a slightly slender man. He was dressed in cyan clothes that highlighted his figure incisively and vividly. His hair was coiled and tied with a hairpin, like a gentle boy. It was just that Xiaoyan also discovered that this man had a rather strange aura, and what puzzled Xiaoyan the most was that the man in front of him had very white skin, like a girl. Cough cough. Cough. Why are you looking for Elder Zuo? Old Zuo can't see outsiders, you can go back quickly. A clear voice also came from the figure in the man's attire, which seemed quite out of place. This person seems a bit strange. Xiaoyan's huge soul power also found something wrong with the man in front of him. A man, the one who walks and looks like a man is obviously not a man, and his skin is so white. With the addition of the voice, the figure in the man's attire is very likely to be a woman. It was Zulao who asked me to come to him. Xiaoyan also couldn't care whether the figure in front of him was a man or a woman. After all, this is the Incense Pavilion where the powerful are like clouds. If you think about it, if you come from other forces, you will not be able to escape this Incense Pavilion. The inner power of the eye. Your kid's strength is also good, how can you deceive people at such a young age? The voice of the figure in the man's attire also raised a few decibels, and then said to Xiaoyan, the identity of Zulao, even in the 3 halls of heaven, earth, and people, is well known to everyone. This old Zuo has not recruited disciples to take care of them. For decades, he has always been in the state of wandering clouds and wild cranes. How can he meet such a kid now? Senior brother, why am I lying to you? Xiaoyan was also devastated and said in a depressed tone. The figure in front of the man dressed in attire, Xiaoyan sensed from his breath that he knew that he was a strong 5-star dodi, so Xiaoyan also gave him due respect. After all, this is also the burning incense pavilion, and Xiaoyan has nothing to do with him. Gratitude, don't make trouble. Ah, don't waste my time. Old Zhu's residence is right here, turn left and go to the end. The figure in the man's attire also said, and then hurriedly walked out, ignoring Xiaoyan at all. Humph. Although my father and the others kept it from me, they still heard it from the bed. I heard that there is a rookie disciple who has obtained the immortal body of Dode River, but I want to see where it is. The figure in the man's attire also walked towards Xiaoyan's direction. It's really scary. Xiaoyan didn't hear the words in the man's attire, and immediately looked at the figure who was far away, and shook his head secretly. This figure should be a woman, but I don't know why she dressed as a man, but seeing that she can walk freely in this burning incense pavilion, and her strength has reached the 5-star dodi, she is not low in status. However, after taking a brief look at it, Xiaoyan also headed towards the place that the woman said. Xiaoyan walked slowly, and found that the buildings around him were all connected together, forming a rather spectacular scene from one room to another. Oh, it's the end. Xiaoyan also came to the end of the road at the next moment. At the same time, a wooden house exuding strange fluctuations also appeared in Xiaoyan's eyes. This wooden house seems to contain some strange power. Xiaoyan also stood blankly 10 meters away from the wooden house. The next moment, Xiaoyan's mental power also quietly diffused out of his body, and probed towards the surface of the wooden house. It's actually the fluctuation of spiritual power. Xiaoyan also stared blankly at the wooden house in front of him, an indescribable feeling spontaneously arises. Hehe, this little guy is finally here. A slightly lazy voice also came from the wooden house slowly. What a terrifying power. When Xiaoyan heard this voice, the first thing he felt was that the doqi in his body instantly solidified. Even the divine movement core inscription deep within the body exudes a tremor. That's right, it's the tremor. Although Xiaoyan doesn't know the preciousness of this divine movement core inscription, but it is quite high to think about it. If Xiaoyan can cause such a situation, then the strength of this old Zhu can only be said to be unfathomable. I'm waiting for you for a long time. Come in, little guy. The lazy voice continued, and at the same time, the tightly closed wooden door of the wooden house slowly opened. Chapter 322, Bamboo Old. Junior Xiaoyan, I have seen Senior Bamboo. Xiaoyan also respectfully said to the wooden house, and then the next moment, he stepped forward and walked slowly towards the wooden house. When Xiaoyan walked to the wooden door of the wooden house slammed open, and then inside the wooden door, a terrifying strong wind came towards Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan's first impression of the terrifying strong wind was that it was in full swing and unstoppable, so Xiaoyan didn't care at all, and started directly. Humph. Xiaoyan also snorted coldly, and then a terrifying milky white flame instantly emerged, covering Xiaoyan's body. The next moment, the invisible strong wind also made terrifying fluctuations, colliding heavily with the milky white flame on Xiaoyan's surface. Boom boom boom. An invisible wave from the two scattered from Xiaoyan's body. The next moment, the invisible wave turned into a ripple, centered on Xiaoyan, and spread out towards the surroundings. There was also a slight turmoil in the entire dark room, but it returned to calm. Not good. Xiaoyan also secretly said in his heart, even the defense of his milky white flames did not block the invisible strong wind. This invisible strong wind is so terrifying. Your flame doesn't seem to be simple. A happy voice appeared slowly. Xiaoyan fixed his eyes and saw that he was a thin, plain old man. With Xiaoyan's ingenuity, he naturally knew that this was the so-called old bamboo in front of him. Xiaoyan also didn't know which old Zhu Lao got out, but when the whole body was covered with milky white flames, the terrifying strong wind increased instead of decreasing. The next moment, Xiaoyan's expression changed greatly. Shabu shabu. Xiaoyan didn't have time to think. The terrifying golden immortal body also appeared instantly. The immortal body appeared, and the terrifying strong wind seemed to hit the stone with an egg, and then hit Xiaoyan's golden immortal body heavily. The next moment, the terrifying strong wind also disappeared without a trace. Hehe, it's actually an immortal body. Old Zuo also walked out and came to the edge of the wooden door, and then appeared in front of Xiaoyan and looked at Xiaoyan. Just now, it was just a little trick of carving insects, in order to force out your immortal body. If you can't even resist that, then you're here today for nothing. Elder Zuo said ruthlessly. When Xiaoyan heard this, his head was also full of black lines. This old Zuo really is. However, this kid is really unexpected. I was lucky enough to enter this immortal body back then, but I didn't get the approval of that senior. It can choose you, which means that you are also destined. Elder Zuo's voice also echoed in the wood. Senior has been awarded. Junior is just a fluke. Xiaoyan also smiled slowly at old Zuo. Even if it was just a momentary contact, Xiaoyan realized that this Zuo Lao is not only extremely terrifying, but also has a very familiar force. Mental strength. Therefore, the old Zhou in front of him is very likely to be a powerful fighting formation master. After all, the spiritual power of this old Zuo is many times stronger than that of Xiaoyan. And what has always troubled Xiaoyan is the cultivation and leveling method of this spiritual power. After all, even a strong person as strong as his own Master Dragon King knows nothing about it, so Xiaoyan can only put hope in front of this bamboo old body. Do you know why I'm looking for you, Elder? Zuo also laughed strangely. It should be the matter of going to the Xuanling Pond this time. Xiaoyan also thought for a while and then said, although this is also part of it, it's not the most important thing. Elder Zuo also said to Xiaoyan with an inscrutable face, and then walked back and forth with Xiaoyan, looking at Xiaoyan seriously again. What is that? Xiaoyan was also puzzled. If this old Zuo is not looking for him for the Xuanling Pond, then adding this old Zhu's identity and strength, it is very likely that. Look at my house first. Elder Zhu's voice sounded slowly, and the next moment, the entire wooden house became brighter. Well, Xiaoyan was also puzzled just now, why it was dark when he entered this room, and it was because of this old Zhu's restraint. This is. Xiaoyan didn't notice it just now, but when the room brightened, he also noticed something incredible. These are actually formation scroll. Xiaoyan's pupils were also staring at the scrolls scattered all over the room. The room is about several hundred square meters, and none of these scrolls are placed in the room, occupying most of the room area. Xiaoyan could also feel a very familiar wave from these scrolls. Even the core inscription deep in the ring within his body is slowly moving. Senior, you are. Xiaoyan was also extremely shocked, and then looked at the old man named Zuo Lao in front of him. Why should I believe that you also know it? Zuo Lao is also inscrutable. Could it be? Xiaoyan's pupils were also beating slowly, and then he looked at old Zuo in front of him hesitantly. Worship me as a teacher. The simple sentence sounded like a thunder in Xiaoyan's heart. Xiaoyan joined the Incense Pavilion. To a certain extent, the elders of the Incense Pavilion can be regarded as Xiaoyan's teachers, but there are undoubtedly two situations with the real apprentices. In the burning Incense Pavilion that Xiaoyan joined. Although the elders were Xiaoyan's teachers, they were largely in a state of stalking, only in times of crisis. But it is different from this kind of apprenticeship. The real apprentice is the one who lives and dies together with this one, and the teacher will teach them all the skills, and they are extremely protective of their students. So many strong people hope to find a disciple with extraordinary talent or find a powerful person in their lives. The teacher bowed down to it. Elder Zuo, you may be disappointed, this junior already has a teacher. Although Xiaoyan looked at the scrolls of formations in Elder Zhu's room with great enthusiasm, he decisively refused the apprenticeship. After all, no matter how powerful a person is, he can be called a human only if he has a principle in his heart. Otherwise, if a person has no choice and no bottom line, what is the difference between a machine that only knows how to kill? Don't you think I'm joking? There are countless people in this Incense Pavilion who want to worship me as a teacher, you brat. Elder Zuo also smiled slowly, but he was interrupted by Xiaoyan's words before he finished speaking. I know that, senior, your strength and status are good, but this junior has already worshipped a teacher. As the saying goes, being a teacher for one day and a father for life, one cannot betray one's own teacher. Xiaoyan also said to old Zuo. When Xiaoyan's words fell, it was also vaguely revealed that there seemed to be a rather bad aura in this room. And this breath is obviously emanating from Zuo Lao. Junior, farewell. Xiaoyan also had the intention of withdrawing, then slowly clenched his fist at the old Zuo in front of him, and then quietly walked towards the wooden door. Chapter 323, Bamboo Old Intentions. 1 Step. Step 2. When Xiaoyan kept walking out of the wooden house towards the wooden door, he was also sweating secretly in his heart. Damn, this old man shouldn't be so determined. Xiaoyan's decision just now was also extremely uneasy, and at this time he was also extremely uneasy. After all, the strength of the old Zuo in front of him was unfathomable, and based on Xiaoyan's perception, the old Zuo should be a true fighting formation master. A battle formation master with such a powerful mental strength and strength is a very terrifying existence. And whether it is strength or fighting formation master, these two are what Xiaoyan wants to learn. After passing this village, there is no such shop, but Xiaoyan didn't want to take this old man as his teacher so easily, so he was going to blackmail him. As for the matter of apprenticeship, Xiaoyan is also helpless. After all, if it were other things, Xiaoyan would have already agreed to it, but this matter of apprenticeship involves a great deal. It's also a matter of fear, and this can't be easily agreed. Just when Xiaoyan couldn't hold back his breath and was about to walk to the door and turn around, a slightly sighing voice also appeared. You kid. It's really stubborn. Elder Zuo also said slowly. Come back, I won't force you to worship me as a teacher. You are also free when you come under my door, and there will be nothing to bind you. You can follow me to learn in the future, and I will give it to you wherever you go. Say, it's just that you have to promise me a condition first. Elder Zuo also said slowly. What conditions? Xiaoyan heard old Zhu's voice, and the big stone that was tense in his heart also fell, and then slowly closed the wooden door, also coming to old Zuo. I, Zhu Jin, have never accepted a disciple in my life, and you are my first disciple from today. It's just that if you haven't broken through to Doxian within 20 years, then don't say that you are my disciple. You can save yourself from shame. Zhu Lao also looked at Xiaoyan in front of him and said, 20 years to break through to Doxian. Xiaoyan's eyes also became hot, and some old Zhu's instructions were not difficult to think about. Yes, master. Xiaoyan also responded. Bamboo Ember. This seems to be the person Yanqi said back. Then, inside Xiaoyan's body, the voice of the Golden Dragon King also sounded slowly. I'll accept you as a disciple, but I won't interfere with you, nor will it affect your other teachers teaching to you, and this is the Incense Pavilion. Instead of studying with Medusa and the others, you might as well follow me for special study and cultivation. Since you are an alchemist, I will do my best to cultivate you. But when you have achieved something or we are in trouble in the future, you must help the burning Incense Pavilion. Zhu Lao also said slowly. It's naturally no problem. Xiaoyan also patted his chest and said, obviously he was quite willing to do this kind of thing. After all, no matter what, Xiaoyan is also a part of this burning incense pavilion now. If the burning incense pavilion is in trouble in the future, with Xiaoyan's character, he will definitely not stand still. Incense Pavilion was Xiaoyan's safe haven at this time. In order to cultivate talents from generation to generation, many seniors in Incense Pavilion did their best to cultivate disciples who would take over their positions or guard Incense Pavilion in the future. After all, a person's power is always limited. Hey, don't rush to promise, just now that is just a certificate. You really want you to promise me. I can help with all my skills, but you must promise me 3 conditions. Elder Zuo also said with joy. 3. Senior, you must be too big to open your mouth. Xiaoyan heard the words, his originally happy expression turned a little dull. Although this seems to be Xiaoyan taking advantage of the sky, but thinking about it carefully, it is the old Zuo who has taken advantage. After all, Xiaoyan at this time is already an alchemist at the peak of the first-rank emperor realm. In the future, his achievements will be limitless. These 3 verbal agreements are quite valuable. You. Elder Zuo in front of him also said very angrily. He just raised his exhausted palm to hit Xiaoyan, but he stopped hurriedly as if he remembered something. This old bamboo is angry? In this burning incense pavilion, there are not 5 people who can oppress him like this, but there are not 5 people who are extremely terrifying. But the one who was so angry with himself today was actually a young guy, and Elder Zuo was also extremely angry. Hey, just promise him. It's guaranteed to be a business that only makes money and doesn't lose. Just when Xiaoyan was hesitating, the voice of his master, the Golden Dragon King, slowly appeared in his mind. Why? Xiaoyan also communicated with his master, the Golden Dragon King. I remember that when Yanqi had an accident, it seemed that this person was also there. But due to the years, I don't remember very clearly. However, one thing is certain, the person in front of him not only has the identity of a battle formation master, but he must also have some inseparable relationship with the holy flame of our trip. The Golden Dragon King's voice also said slowly, I promise you, Xiaoyan is worthy of being a person who has been in the world for many years. After agreeing to the conditions of Zulao, he also made a rather painful attitude, which made Zulao in front of him quite happy. But what this Elder Zuo didn't know was that Xiaoyan had plotted against him. Ha ha ha, that's right. Elder Zuo also patted Xiaoyan's shoulder and laughed. Teacher. Xiaoyan saw that Elder Zuo was so happy, was immediately overjoyed, and then his eyes became fiery at Elder Zuo. Why? Old Zhu's eyes instantly became painful, because with the level of Old Zhu's cunning, he could naturally see the meaning in Xiaoyan's eyes in front of him. That is obviously to say, since I have become your disciple, you must show some sincerity no matter what, teacher, or you will lose your face, teacher. It's all right, you are really greedy for money. Elder Zuo also waved at Xiaoyan quite painfully. Since you came to my door, then I can't treat you badly. But those things, I'll give them to you when you come back from the Xuanling Emperor Pond. Zulao smiled slowly. Old Zuo, are you a battle formation master? Xiaoyan couldn't suppress his curiosity, and then murmured, yes, I'm the only battle formation master in the Suan 3 days. At the same time, I also have a different title, Undefeated God of War, Ashes. While speaking, an extremely terrifying and extremely proud aura also permeated the entire wooden house. Undefeated God of War, Ashes. Hearing this, Xiaoyan also shrank his pupils tightly, and then stared at Elder Zuo in front of him, and found that an extremely huge mental force was instantly oppressing him. Chapter 324, Undefeated God of War, Ashes. The terrifying mental coercion and vindictive coercion suppressed Xiaoyan's entire body a little bit, and even the bones in Xiaoyan's body were pressed down with slight noises. Cough, cough. Xiaoyan was also panting with some difficulty, and then he looked at Old Zuo in front of him with fiery eyes. Judging from the degree of vindictiveness just now, even if it is not comparable to that of the Xuanling King, the strength is not much different. Hey, am I qualified to be your teacher now? Elder Zuo also smiled slowly. It seemed that he stared at this kid without showing a hand. This kid really thinks he is. I'd better call you Zulao, otherwise I'll always feel weird. Xiaoyan also said. It's okay, it's just the name, I haven't paid much attention to it yet. Elder Zuo also smiled slowly. Old Zuo, the undefeated god of war, Ashes. Xiaoyan also said curiously. Hehe, why, you kid is curious now. Elder Zuo also stared at Xiaoyan, slowly turning his head, and at the same time his breath was restrained. This undefeated god of war has a rather long history. Since you are my disciple, then I will also tell you. Elder Zuo also said slowly, and then looked at the scrolls of the formations in the wooden house. At the same time, under Xiaoyan's careful induction, it was found that an extremely proud wave emanated from this old Zulao. Elder Zuo, please speak. Xiaoyan was also quick-witted, then moved a stool and slowly gave it to Elder Zuo in front of him, and said, do you know the origin of our burning incense? Elder Zuo also said, the history of burning incense pavilion. It is said that the origin of the burning incense pavilion is to collect only fire-type doqi, and it must be a man. There is no woman in the pavilion. It seems that the yang is prosperous and the yin is declining. Moreover, it is rumored that the pavilion master of Manhua and the pavilion owner of Fengxiang have a relationship. It is not clear what it is. This is the origin of the incense. Xiaoyan also spoke slowly. What you know is just the tip of the iceberg. Our burning incense pavilion and their Wanhua pavilion do have some origins, but it's not the kind you know. Also, our incense pavilion has collected female disciples from the beginning, and Wanhua pavilion has also collected male disciples, but the number is only the number of hands, so outsiders only know what you said. Zulao also slowly. Well, Xiaoyan also replied in a soft voice, but then he felt extremely tyrannical shock in his heart, because this burning incense pavilion and manhua pavilion actually have a deeper relationship, which made Xiaoyan quite interested. After all, I heard from my Master Dragon King that Yanqi seemed to have some connection with Incense Pavilion before, so he was very interested in these. Old Zuo, I don't know the origin. Xiaoyan also noticed something unpleasant in the story of Zhu Lao in front of him. He immediately paused for a while, and then opened his mouth. What I'm telling you now is the top secret of my burning incense pavilion, you should know. Elder Zuo also said with some vigilance. I know. Xiaoyan also responded. Obviously, this top secret is also kept secret. Old Zuo can tell Xiaoyan himself, but he can't let a third party know. The origin of our burning incense pavilion begins with the battle with the evil race outside the territory 10,000 years ago. At the beginning of the infighting of the 7 realms, they were constantly fighting for resources, and they were constantly invading the lower planes of other realms in an attempt to expand their power. After the battle with the evil race, the peak powerhouses in the 7 realms found that they underestimated the power of the evil race, so they also suffered heavy losses, but in the end, many of our 7 realms barely won, and the evil race were defeated. The evil race drove them out, so that the 7 realms returned to peace. However, although the 7 realms have returned to calm, each of the planes under the management of the 7 realms has been fluctuated by the forces of the evil races outside the territory, and the terrifying evil forces have also made some lower planes a mess. The Xuanling continent on the Dode continent is the continent that has been most seriously affected by the evil races outside the territory. At that time, the founder of our burning incense pavilion came to Suan 3 days and found that the emperor's energy here is very strong and suitable for cultivation, so it took a lot of effort to expel the evil power of the foreign evil race, and then create anew after the burning incense pavilion. The founders of some other super sects also came one after another, thus creating the section. But at that time, there was a fierce conflict between the founder of our burning incense pavilion and the founder of the Xuanling royal family. The reason for the conflict is that their Xuanling royal family took a fancy to the mountain range where we are. The founder of our burning incense pavilion is also a powerful person. Of course, it's not easy for the founder of the Xuanling royal family to be so presumptuous, and then the 2 Docian powerhouses started an extremely terrifying battle in Xuandian 3 days. The battle lasted for a whole year, and finally ended with the victory of our founder of Incense Pavilion. As for the founder of the Xuanling royal family, he died not long after he went back to the Incense Pavilion after fighting with our founder. It is said that the founder of our Incense Pavilion died because of his poisonous hand. But it's ridiculous. Our burning Incense Pavilion is upright, so why do we need to use some small tricks? Their mysterious royal family is nothing but a false name. Don't think we don't know about some shameful things behind the scenes. Since then, the relationship between our burning incense pavilion and the Xuanling royal family has been extremely stalemate, even like water and fire. Thousands of years have also seen a lot of battles, big and small. As for my title, it started after I came to this burning incense pavilion. When I first came to Incense Pavilion, it happened that I became the direct disciple of the Pavilion Master of Incense Pavilion by virtue of my extremely powerful spiritual power. Although there isn't any battle formation master in Suan 3 days, the original Incense Pavilion Master searched for ancient books everywhere, and finally cultivated me into a strong generation. And it was identified that the Xuanling royal family was the closest place to the Medusa Clan, and faced Medusa's invasion all over the year, so they also wanted to occupy a mountain range so that they could solve their urgent needs. At that time, the Xuanling royal family dispatched a Docian, 2 Dodi's peak powerhouses and some extremely powerful powerhouses to attack the Medusa Clan in a big way. My name was also famous at that time. Suan 3 days. After Zhu Lao finished speaking, he also slowly laughed. Obviously the level of terror of this Do formation master, even he himself was quite satisfied. At that time, when we received the news from the Incense Pavilion, it was also to prevent the Xuanling royal family from annexing the Medusa Clan. Otherwise, the imbalance of power is likely to cause the Suan 3 days war, so the Pavilion Master also sent me there. At that time, I used the 8-star Dodi's perfect level and Do formation master to hold down those members of the Xuanling royal family, so as to cooperate with the Medusa Clan and severely damage the Xuanling royal family. After Zhu Lao finished speaking, he also took a sip of tea, but the extremely proud tone in his voice could not be concealed at all. Chapter 325, The Classification of the Battle Formation Division. Old Zhu, with the strength of the 8-star Dodi and your status as a Do Formation Master, you have resisted all the powerhouses of the Xuanling royal family. Xiaoyan was also surprised. According to what this old Zhu said, the battle just now was a Docian strong, 2 Do de peak strong. As for the other strong, there must be a lot. In front of him, Elder Zuo actually resisted such a terrifying battle with the strength of the 8-star Do de perfect level. According to Xiaoyan's perception, the 8-star Do de perfect level is not enough to deal with a Docian and 2 Do de perfect level powerhouses. Then there is no doubt that the result is only one battle formation master. Few people know about this identity profession, even in Suan where the powerhouses are like clouds, but it is undeniable that the identity of this Do formation master, if a powerful Do formation master, is comparable to that of a huge army. Because what Do formation masters are best at is not fighting alone, but fighting in groups. The most terrifying thing for Do formation division is that in a real war, relying on his own strength, he can block the enemy's tens of thousands of troops or the enemy's most powerful. This is the true horror of Do formation masters. In a battle, if the enemy's army or strong man is besieged and temporarily unable to escape, then it will undoubtedly play a decisive role in the battle. It's too strong. Xiaoyan's eyes also became dull. Obviously, he could feel it just from the words that Zhu Lao said in front of him. This Zhu Lao's body seemed to be somewhat exhausted, but it contained how powerful. This is the real battle formation master. Elder Zhu also said slowly. In that battle, by virtue of my identity as a battle formation master, I held back all the fighting power of the Xuanling royal family, thus giving the Medusa Clan a chance to breathe, and with their thunderous counterattack, I also gave Xuanling a chance to fight back the unrecoverable damage to the Xuanling royal family. For this reason, the senior officials of the Xuanling royal family are also furious and want to declare war on our burning Incense Pavilion in an all-round way. But how can the 9 super sects make the Xuanling royal family succeed? However, the Xuanling royal family's hatred for us, the Incense Pavilion and the Medusa Clan, has not diminished in the slightest, and they even want to get rid of us at all costs. As for why Solomon has a good relationship with the Xuanling royal family, I don't know. However, one thing is certain, this Solomon and the Xuanling royal family must have some secretly going on. Zhu Lao also said slowly. Returning the Xuanling royal family and Solomon really. Xiaoyan also shook his head slightly, and then without hesitation, he spoke to Elder Zhu in front of him. Old Zhu, what are these things in your house? Xiaoyan also looked puzzled, but in fact Xiaoyan was asking the question. Don't ask. Haha, I don't believe you have only discovered your soul power at the emperor level. Zhu Lao also smiled slowly, and then he ignored Xiaoyan, but stared at the scrolls in front of him, which seemed to be in front of him, thinking about something in general. The scrolls in front of you are also the same as the scrolls that generally record Do skills, but the scrolls of this formation and the scrolls of Do skills are two different things. Most of the scrolls that record Do skills can be practiced by anyone, except for some Do skills that have special restrictions or seals, but this scroll is different. If it's not a battle formation master, you won't be able to open the scroll of this formation. You can close your eyes and feel it carefully. Elder Zhu also said slowly, but looking at the scrolls in front of his eyes, there was an extremely gentle expression, as if these scrolls were his heirs. Yeah. Hearing this, Xiaoyan did as he said, slowly closed his eyes, and did not worry about anything else. After all, this is the Incense Pavilion, and this is one of the most important people in the Incense Pavilion, so he has no worries. Close your eyes, don't use your soul power or spiritual power. Just rely on your intuition and use your hands to touch and communicate with the scrolls in this room. Just when Xiaoyan was about to use his mental power to detect which scrolls were, Elder Zhu's voice was also appear slowly. Hearing this, Xiaoyan frowned slightly, and the next moment, he also slowly raised his hands, and then walked away towards a silver-colored array scroll in front of him. Because Xiaoyan is carrying 23 kinds of heavenly fires, His palm also has a temperature that is different from ordinary people, but when Xiaoyan's palm just touched the silver array scroll, the array scroll exuding silver rays of light, strangely it trembled, and the next moment, a silver ray of light on the formation scroll also appeared instantly from the circular formation scroll, and then the next moment, it also directly passed through Xiaoyan's arm that was in contact with the formation scroll. It was directly inserted into Xiaoyan's body. What is this? Xiaoyan was also startled, but he didn't panic in the slightest, but in Xiaoyan's perception, the silver formation scroll he just touched did not seem to be a simple formation scroll, but just now, what I have touched, if expected, is the core of the silver formation scroll. Array core? It is the core of a formation scroll, which controls the core of the formation, and is also qualified to display the formation freely display and shrink. Elder Zuo, this is. Xiaoyan also said to Elder Zuo next to him after a brief thought to no avail. Hey, how does the silver formation core look just now? Zhu Lao instead ignored Xiaoyan's question and asked directly. That silver light. It seems to be something that was originally left on the scroll of this formation. I don't know why it got into my body. Xiaoyan also murmured. After all, Xiaoyan also wanted to investigate, but the silver light, as soon as he entered Xiaoyan's body, he disappeared without a trace. No, you are sensing it carefully. Elder Zuo also shook his head, and then said to Xiaoyan. Hearing this, Xiaoyan also felt something in his body, and then his whole body suddenly burst out. This silver light is actually at his soul realm. The next moment, Xiaoyan also discovered the trace of the silver light that entered his body, but then Xiaoyan was also puzzled. How could this silver light enter him silently? Why don't you let yourself find out at the soul realm? After all, he is now an emperor level mortal level soul force. Although he cannot detect thousands of miles on the Dode continent due to all kinds of suppression, Xiaoyan can still detect it in a mere tens of miles. The core of this silver formation is the control center of this formation scroll. You can directly control it through your original inscription. Elder Zuo also said. Slowly.
Hi. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get updated on my latest video. Thank you for watching.